Hello and welcome to part 4 of making my workbench. In this episode, we will be making some work holding devices so that you don't need a vise. This first device is known as the palm. So remember the stock that we had that fits into the square mortise. Also, the slightly defective, not really defective, it just had a minute crack in the middle. So this was that stock that we had cut extra from the legs. So we got 4 legs and 2 of these pieces. So you can use some of that for the extra battens, as you can see I have put. And now I'm cutting a tenon. So I'm cutting the shoulders in this piece. We're gonna cut a mortise and tenon in this. So as you can see here, this is another work holding technique where I've attached an F clamp to the side of the bench in that uneven part, and I'm holding the piece in that corner where there is the uneven part and using an F clamp so that it works kind of like a vise. So I wanted to try it on and it works quite effectively. So after I make the tenon onto this piece, I'm gonna start working on the board that does the work holding. So I'm going to be using a board that is 7/8 of an inch thick roughly, and it is 6.5 inches wide. So leave about an inch from each side and then saw a V shape, and make sure that this V shape is less than 45 degrees of an angle. It's just something that I picked up from Rex's video, so I'm just following that and it works well. So this device is used to hold boards on the edges for like planing and I guess chiseling also. So I'm just going to use my hand saw and saw the V shape into that. So this is again going to be held using the wedged mortise and tenon. So there you can see I've cut the tenon already there. I've cut the mortise there, and so now I'm gonna saw a slit into that piece where I cut the tenon, the thing that fits into the leg stock, and make sure you have it oriented correctly so that the wedge is driven in perpendicular to the grain that is running in the piece that has the V shape, so that it won't ever split. And because this is going to deal with a lot of planing forces, so make sure it's quite strong and you have used a good board. You can even use 1/2 inch plywood or 3/4 inch plywood. I didn't have enough of that, so I just used this piece, and this is softwood, so it worked really well for me. And I'm applying glue liberally so that it bonds well. This one is really common but very effective, and they're called bench dogs. They're put into dog holes that are drilled into your bench. You can space them out however you want, the dog holes, and place these bench dogs in that. Now I'm using 1 inch thick teak wood to prepare the blanks for this. You can get ready-made aluminum or brass, whatever bench dogs that there are, but I didn't have access to that, so I decided to make my own out of hardwood. After I cut the 1 inch stock into 1 inch squares, I use a block plane to shape it into a circle, and these are going to be 3/4 inch bench dogs. So in my bench, I divided into thirds and drill 3/4 inch holes. I'm using a spade bit because it drills quite fast, and I don't really care that much about the finishing because it's a workbench, and if it blows out on the end, it's fine. I use a Ryoba saw to trim the bench dogs to length, and now I'm going to be cutting slightly of, I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but this adds like a flat surface. So since the bench dogs are round, it needs to have a flat surface where it can hold the board. So I'm just using a flush cut saw to make sure that it's the line is proper to the bench there, and I'm just using a chisel to clear out some of that extra waste. Be careful with this because it's a round object and it's quite small, so I just use the saw to cut the stop there, and then I use a chisel so that we get a flat surface over there. Number 3, or should I say number 4, because the one where you use the F clamp in the uneven part of the board, I guess that's a bonus. So let's say this is number 4. So this planing stop will be made out of the same material that we use to make the palm, so to make the shaft of the palm. So the pieces that we got for the legs were 22 inches long, so the battens were 11 inches long. So I split the thing for the palm to be 7 inches and 4 inches. So the planing strop is 4 inches long by the dimension that we had for the leg. So this goes directly into the square mortise, and you can tap it up with the mallet and pound it down into the mallet so that it matches whatever size of material that you need to plane. It can handle faces and edges, so it's quite effective. It's simple but really effective. The doggles are best for planing faces and sawing, so you can tap them up and down with a mallet depending on however thick your stock is. This is another type of planing stop. So this is made for pretty thin to medium thickness pieces that are quite wide, where you need to plane the faces. So it's made of those leftover pine strips that I took from the lumberyard, and then I've put in dowels that are wedged into the top, and they go right into the dog holes that are there in the bench. So it's quite universal. So you can put in the dog holes and put in this. So there are a lot of options, and this is pretty good for like medium to thin pieces. But this strip that I had was about 3/16 of an inch, which was quite thin. So I would recommend using something that's half inch. So you can do it. You can use this for slightly bigger stock, like slightly maybe 3/4 inch stock or 5/8 inch stock that you need to plane. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. And if you did, I would really appreciate if you could like, comment, share, and subscribe. That would really help my channel to grow. Have a great day. Bye.